For more on this, we're joined by former senior profiler for the FBI, Mary Ellen O'Toole. Mary, thank you so much for your time tonight. The focus has now turned to these new images and the video that the FBI released related to Nancy Guthrie's kidnapping. It has been 10 days. What are the next steps now for investigators now that these images are out there?
Well, one of the most important things that they will do and they've started to do is put them out there so that the general public can see what this person is wearing, how unique it was, how he is acting at the front door. He seems to be fairly comfortable. He's not rushing around. He's just moving around slowly. So putting that out there is really critical because it's very possible that someone will see this video, see the clothes, and be able to put that information together with other things that they've noticed perhaps over the last week. Someone is preoccupied. They're really focused on this abduction. Somebody has commented and they can't get away from the media. They're following it very, very closely. All they need is a little bit of information in addition to this before that person will pick up the phone and will make the phone call. She has just has to get somebody, one person, to respond to her plea to call in. All it takes is one person, and that would be enough to be able to solve this case. And I think that's what Savannah was doing earlier today.
Absolutely. Any tip will help. Let's talk about the tools. What kinds of tools will law enforcement be using to identify the person in these images?
Well, they'll be using everything that they can. They'll be looking at, for example, looking at the size. They'll be looking at the gait. They'll be looking at if they can get any specific information off of the clothes, and just in terms of how they're made, what kind of fabric they're made out of, what kind of material they're made out of. Are those gloves that are typically used for a particular kind of profession? What about the backpack? They'll be looking at what appears to be outlines in the backpack and what that might mean. So they'll be really just dissecting everything you can imagine about the clothing. They'll even be looking at the way this individual appears to be carrying the firearm, just kind of hanging down in front of him. And again, letting other people see this information so that they can hopefully be able to identify him, showing it to the neighbors to make sure that they see everything in case they've recognized somebody who looks like this in the neighborhood 2 weeks ago or a month ago.
Were you surprised to see that there was just one individual on that surveillance camera as opposed to a group of individuals involved in this abduction?
I wouldn't have thought it was a group of individuals, probably no more than two, but it still doesn't exclude the possibility that there is someone else that's involved, but they're off cameras. So you always have to consider that as well. One thing that is pretty, I think, significant is that this person came dressed in this kind of unusual outfit, but had to finish dressing probably in the car. You couldn't have driven to this location dressed like that and run the risk of being pulled over by the police. So to me, this is, probably indicative of no more than two people involved in something like this. If it's a group, you run the risk of the group falling apart and then group members calling law enforcement or telling somebody else, hey, this thing just fell apart and I don't want any part of it anymore. So keeping the group small would be very important.
Mary, thank you so much for your insights. Really appreciate it. Of course, law enforcement and the Guthrie family asking for the public's help in this case.